Welcome in everybody to today's Pick a Card channel tarot reading. The theme of today's reading is going to be who loves you. We do have a little bit of background noise with us today, so hopefully it's not too bad. If it does ramp up, we can always do what we can to tone it down or try again at a later time. That being said, the four groups that we have to choose from. So we have group 1 with the growing pains, and we have group 2 with the witch. We have group 3 with the emotions, and group 4 with the awakened dead. So definitely take a moment if you need to kind of feel out like which group is for you. It doesn't matter what aspect it is that really draws you in, as long as it's what you feel like you resonate with. And I do feel like there is a chance here that there could be like more than one group, for some of the people for sure. So yeah, whatever it is that you feel. Anyway, that being said, we will get started with group 1 and I'll see everyone at whichever group they choose. Okay, welcome in group 1. If you chose the growing pains card, then this is going to be your reading today on who it is that loves you. I feel called to just point out that my readings are like spirit-led. So it's not a topic that I have just like picked out of thin air. And the other side of it is that I don't necessarily read tarot in a traditional classic way. Like I'm not necessarily doing Celtic cross spreads, all that sort of stuff. I definitely do read the cards from a lot of the traditional meanings, even if I'm not specifically explaining every single variant of that within one, like any given reading. I'm also like reading into and feeling energy. And I sometimes will get messages that I can kind of overlay with the cards as well. So just a little bit of insight there if you are new here or if you've not really been watching my videos for very long. And that being said, thanks for joining me. Welcome in everybody. The first thing that I have, so who it is that loves you. I do feel like this could be a person that you have walked away from. They could be kind of cut off or blocked in one way or another, and they may have felt a little bit blindsided by it. So I don't know if that means that they thought that you wouldn't necessarily like follow through on it, or maybe the way that they had known you or experienced you, or that your connection had been in the past was a bit like whimsical, like you would just sort of, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know if they just thought that you would just eventually come around. Or that you would like not really think too deeply in it. So like maybe one moment you would do this and the next minute you wouldn't. But I actually feel like they have evidence to say that you, when you would say that you would do something, you would actually follow through. Like you would be a person of your word. And I also see some really good things here for you about like, we've got this action leads to success, and I actually feel like that could have definitely been relative to this situation. So like the very act of leaving could have been something that would in some ways help bring in a type of success for you. And it does make me think, and it doesn't have to be the exact case for everybody, because I feel like that one specific part is so general for the collective, for this group 1. It could have just been like freeing up karma, right? Because if you're with someone and there was like an enmeshment in the energies, you could have been accidentally or unknowingly or unwillingly taking on some of their karma. Doesn't matter really what that looks like, other than the fact that I feel like that has now set the that's now set the pace, and it's the paving the way for the path moving forward, right? So I do think there's something here about like a momentum. So that one action of this person, walking away from them or blocking them or disconnecting, whatever that looked like. I do feel like it's no contact for most of you, or at least as reasonably as much as you probably could do that. It does look like that one action has set the pace. It's got a bit of momentum here. There is definitely something here if you wonder if you're just, I kind of get the energy or like the depiction of once the first domino falls, then they all just start falling. So like after you took action one time, you could have been like, wow, I have power. Wow, I have the ability to help myself. Wow, I have the ability to take action. I have the ability to try to, actually take charge of my life, right? So it was like the first domino went, and then it was like, okay, I've got this. I can do it again. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, there's something here where maybe you could have been a little bit wondering whether you have been too hasty in some of the actions that you have taken. I don't know if I would necessarily say that maybe it's going to be different for everyone. Maybe some of you had been having a little bit of like second guessing or a little bit of self-doubt, or just wondering if you were being a little bit too hasty, like got a little bit too kind of trigger happy, like action happy, decision happy. Like maybe once you cut off the first person, there was a couple that went after that. And then maybe you've taken a moment to kind of pull back and just try to steady yourself, ground yourself, make sure that, you know, that all does align and that you're not just doing it for the sake of it or something like that. And it doesn't have to be that you just went and cut off a bunch of people. It definitely could be, but it could have just been that the very act of taking action. So maybe you walked away from this person, but then somehow knowing that you had that you were empowered in the self, you then took some other great action to change your life. So maybe you changed career or something like that. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Could have been very small stuff. Every day today, the choice that I get to make is that I play the music that I want. Don't know what that looks like for you. Today, we go to this place that I want to go to. Something like that, okay? Anyway, whatever that looks like for you, it also could just be the people that you have around. Maybe you were just experiencing connections because they were kind of what was there. And so now is this like emptying of the space of what essentially I'm kind of getting the vision of like a waiting room. Like people are sitting in a foyer or a reception, and people are like just sitting in the waiting room waiting to come in. But then if it's like really full, then they can't go anywhere. So they're just sitting there waiting. So then once we get a few people out of the waiting room, then it frees up some space for some new people to come in. So I kind of get that energy. So that's actually really positive. We will go back to a bit more of this person who loves you, although I do feel like there might be a bit more here than just this person. It's just that we're like sort of painting the picture, if you will, because there definitely is something coming through, right? Like it's still a legitimate answer to the question, even if it's not necessarily what we would have hoped or were looking for. But I do feel for some of you, maybe that was a genuine interest, even if it's not, we weren't necessarily consciously aware of it. Maybe it was like a deeper layer down, like maybe there's still some stuff that feels a little bit unresolved in some way. So whatever that is for you. But when that little bit of like I'm wondering if I was taking too much action, the universe is like, just trust, this is a whole heap of growth that you're experiencing at once. I feel like this is all really good. And I feel like you're actually probably a lot more grounded and steady than you think you are. And it's paying off in some way. I don't know why, I don't know how. I just get the energy that it's paying off. It's really good. Okay, we also have growing pains. So I don't know that this necessarily would have been easy for you, but I get a lot of good energy for this. It's like it's moving, it's positive, it's fresh, it's that momentum, okay? It's really good. I was getting the thoughts and feelings before sitting down to do this reading today, this sort of the last 24 hours. And I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Here in Australia at this point in time, I know it's going to be an Aquarius moon everywhere, right? Like the full moon in Aquarius. But it doesn't surprise me that it's one that would kind of be prominent for this, being the air moon, Eris channel, right? I'm an aqua moon. So the whole, I was feeling a big vibrational shift to the point where like a lot of the readers that I would watch, I'm now falling out of vibrational resonance with. I do feel like there has been a bit of a change in the energy, and I'm not saying that that doesn't necessarily go back at different times, but for a lot of you, that quantum leap or quantum jump, timeline sort of jumping, shifting, all of that stuff, one decision that shifted everything into a really positive momentum, I feel like that's now beginning to take effect, okay? So yeah, really good stuff. All right, we have, it's a process with healing, patience, and unconsciousness. Oh, unconscious, not, yeah, okay. The third eye did seem kind of specific. So I'm not sure if it's necessarily reflective of the person who does love you as much as it is reflective of you as a person. The number 19 seems to be relevant here as well. So that's not necessarily going to be for everyone. It could be a case of like, I don't know, we've even got 15 and 32. So it could have been like you know, a matter of like months or years or specific birthday dates. You know, something like 19. It could have been like you met when you were 19, or maybe you were together for 19 years. It doesn't have to be that, okay? Maybe you'd been separated for like 19 months or something like that. I don't know. Okay, so we also have the Fool here. And I do feel like there's something in this Fool energy where maybe this person kind of projected. Maybe you were just like kind of easygoing or something like that, or maybe they didn't necessarily think of you as a person like, you know, the man with the plan, even if you're a woman, it's just the saying, right? Where you were just pretty happy-go-lucky, or just like go along with things, or just kind of make things work, you know, in the moment. And so I think that was part of it, where they thought maybe you would probably at some point just come back because you were not very well thought out in whatever this action was. But I actually feel like you might have been quite dedicated to, no, when I make this decision, I mean it, right? I also get it being reflective of a type of like Uranus quality that may have been in this person, or even shared within both of you, like a mirrored kind of characteristic or quality. It doesn't matter what that is. It could have been representative of like Aquarius, right? All this talk about Aquarius, it doesn't have to be just the energy in itself. There could have been something here, like the two of you together could have been the original. There could have been something here where maybe there's like this person seeing you stepping away as like a slight more of like a rebellion, not necessarily a long-term decision. Yeah, that keeps coming through. Okay, so we've got that. We're going to move on. But I feel like you just use that to continue to build, right? And we've talked about that, you paving the way to sort of form the pathway for your future going forward. And it feels like it was real world building. And there's something here that I think that it helped you open up your heart to begin again. Yeah. All right, now that we've got that, I feel like we need another card. This energy is pretty quick. It is also a little bit like scatsy. So I do want to keep it moving, but I just want to try to, if we need to, sort of take a breath throughout it, just to kind of stay grounded. So who loves you? Yeah, so it definitely feels like an ex. And look, it doesn't have to be romantic. A lot of the speak and the way that I was talking was a romantic partner. This would just be like an ex-partner, right? But like more a person that you did a little bit of time with. But I mean, for some of you, it could have been a person who, I don't know, maybe it was like, had like an on again, off again quality, or like even like a friends with benefits, but for like a long time, or like maybe you would keep coming back to each other or something. So just take what resonates. So that's obviously different for everyone. Okay, so we also have the Warrior. I'm going to shut this door because this noise is starting to get a bit loud again. Hopefully that will make it a little bit better for everybody. I'm not getting it come through in such a serious energy. I'm just getting it come through in a bit more of like a lighter energy, where we've got like the rainbows and this, it feels more of like that divine quality. But we're not stopping here. What else is it that we need? Journey. I mean, you could have felt like this person, so this could be like extra points of confirmation, especially if there's like a couple of exes in the lineup that could be in question of who it is. So we need to sort of determine who that could be if you didn't already know. I feel like you probably do, but they could have been a person who were maybe they would try to kind of entangle you in arguments, or maybe there just was a lot of arguments. Maybe you could have felt like they had put you in an energy where you felt like you needed to be strong. I'm not really sure if I get that so much. Just, I don't know, take what resonates for it. I feel like I'm going to say it a million more times. I'll try not to, but you understand how it works, right? So I think the way that you looked, and I don't know if this is like physically or just internally, or the way that you acted or something like that, was very different back then to now. So I don't think they would recognize you for what you are, but I do feel like that has that mirrored quality. And I think there's something here where maybe you thought the sun shone out of this person's behind, but now you see them for what they really are as well. Something like that, okay? So I get like a crisp, clarity, which I don't know, for those of you that do sort of follow like the full moon and everything, I did get a good look at it sort of last night, and it was like very bright and very like kind of potent. It was just super bright. Anyway, I'm not sure why that matters. Maybe some of you kind of do keep up with it, but yeah. Okay, so 3 of Swords, so heartbreak. Yeah, definitely. I don't feel like me moving through this quickly and keeping like a light energy is to kind of reduce any of the things that happen. I just feel like maybe you guys are a little bit like progressed past it, or it's just we're just trying to get through the information so we can get to the next bit. But we also have the Empress here, so I do think there's something about this whole situation that kind of needed to happen to help really forge you as a person to evolve into everything that you are. It's like you've you know, there's a lot of talk sometimes. It's really hard when people are kind of young, or they just haven't really undergone you know, a reasonable amount of the life experiences carved out for them that they're meant to kind of come into a fully embodied, like have the full development of all their characteristics really in place yet. So because they're kind of like a blank canvas, there's a lot of potential there. There's not a lot of definition, if that makes sense. And it's hard to imagine, like, you can kind of get lost in the idea that like, well, I'm not really this or I'm not really that, because they're not really a lot yet, if it makes sense. Like, I don't know my pathway because maybe they haven't had enough defining moments in life to kind of help them with that. And like, everyone's got different experiences that they have to do. Everyone's life path is going to be different. But there's something here where it's like, I feel like it's finally come full circle, where you are the exact fully developed person that you are meant to be now, born through this experience. So there's something here where I feel like this person has, I think they always seen this in you. And if I'm honest, I think that you were always out of their league. And it's not an uncommon thing that people will do, is try to settle a little bit if they feel like that's going to be the thing that creates like a harmonious sort of long-term partnership, or even if, you know, it doesn't matter what that is. I think you've seen a lot of things in this person that represented maybe like, could be different things for different people. Maybe they had, they were a responsible person, or maybe they were a steady person, or maybe they could have still gone out and done a little bit of partying or something like that, but maybe they had like certain key fundamental basics down packed. Like maybe they were getting the bills paid every week or something. I don't know where that bar sits for you, but I think that was attractive to you. And I think there was something in that person that maybe you felt, maybe there was like, you felt like you were not fully developed in that area. But I actually think that you probably were, and you hadn't given yourself the credit because you hadn't been in that energy for maybe very long yet at that time. So maybe you were seeing yourself as like younger or more undeveloped or more in an immature energy or starting out than this other person. And it's not that they were necessarily even on your level. They had just been like very developed in one particular area of life for a bit longer than you, if that makes sense. So I can see how you could kind of think that, and it's not to say that it's necessarily inaccurate or bad or anything like that. It's just what's happened. And then now it's like, I think they've seen you stay in this energy and stay steady. If anything, they've probably seen you develop further into this like kind of fully embodied characteristic version of yourself, right? Like very holistic. The peak, right? Like this person recognizes some sort of peak and well-roundedness in you that they do not possess. And I think I get the word jaded come through. So they could feel a little bit jaded. Maybe some of them feel like they did things, I almost get like an energy of they feel like they let you go too soon. So there could have been some type of, whether it's like an emotional withdrawal before it, even if you were the actual person who walked away, right? But maybe they didn't really see you clearly. Maybe they didn't appreciate it. Maybe they thought, maybe there was like some sort of situation where this person could have been in a bit of like, I don't know, an energy where maybe they were getting offers or they were feeling insecure or something. It doesn't matter what that is, but they could have been in a position where they didn't realize, they thought that everyone else, it was pretty standard for everyone else that was available out there to be like you. And maybe when you come together, I don't know if it was necessarily kind of quickly or it didn't feel like there was a lot of work or something. So maybe then this person just thought like, oh, you know, this is just like an everyday run-of-the-mill partner that I could find. And they didn't realize what they had, and that it's not really the case. And I feel like regardless of whether they moved on now or not, they hold a torch for you that they will continue to carry for time. Okay, and I think this is something that, if you're honest, you probably already knew this. You know, anyway, so we've got a bit of third eye stuff happening here. I don't know if this is like, again, could be confirmation of you knowing it, but it also could have been some type of like awakening for you or seeing things more clearly for yourself. And maybe you're beginning to finally recognize that you are, even if you are not like, you know, you don't have to be in a female body to embody the Empress energy. So it could be, I kind of get the equivalent of it could be like Empress, Emperor, whatever that is, that would kind of resonate for you, but it's kind of being that peak and holistically well-rounded, right? So it doesn't matter where you sit in gender, that, yeah, it's like you are starting to recognize your value. You're starting to recognize where you are. Maybe you are starting to have the appreciation for yourself that others weren't willing to show you because they wanted to cap you. They wanted to keep you short, right? Okay, that being said, we've done like a bit of the backstory. We've done like a key person who's coming through for who loves you. Definitely looks like a person who, I don't know, maybe for some of you at times you could sort of want that still from that person, but it feels like more of a would have been nice then. So it could be a little too late, right? Now that we've been there, said that, done that, I feel like there's maybe another person here that we want to see what else we get. Let's just see. I want to roll the astro dice and take some more cards. Whoa, that did not. Okay, so we have Neptune, Scorpio, and the 10th house. I don't know if you guys are keeping like a private profile right now, and it doesn't matter whether that is on social media or just in person, something like that. But I get an energy of like strong allure, strong attraction. Because even if you look at Scorpio, like in Vedic astrology, right? Scorpio is like the feminine Mars ruled zodiac. So even though it would be like Pluto ruled in Western astrology, there's still a lot, like, I guess if you talk about zodiacs and the parts of the bodies that they are associated with, Scorpio is related to like the reproductive organs, right? So there's that always been that whole really like sensual kind of getting lost in another person, kind of running like on instincts and a little bit of like a primal feeling there, right? But there is that whole seductive, aloof, like mysterious, I don't know if I'd say aloof, but like mysterious kind of qualities there. Like it's very alluring. It like kind of draws people in just on like the curiosity and the attractiveness. And there is like a sense of a kind of a power, an innate natural movement, a just natural knowing what to do. Okay, so the fact that this is coming up in the 10th house could be a way that you are being perceived in general right now. A lot of that, I feel like if you are keeping private, that's part of like what's increasing this mystery or something like that, okay? The other deal is if this is an ex-partner and you've done the deed and everything else in between, then there could be that obvious, there could be themes of nostalgia here and like a sentimental kind of energy coming through, but there could just be like they remember and know and they kind of miss what used to go down. But with Neptune, there could be like an idealizing this or really seeing it for what it was. Neptune's kind of a hard one because if you're not at a level to see it, to meet it, then it can just look very foggy and distorted, right? But if you can recognize it for what it is because you are on the level to meet it, then you can see that there is like a higher vibrational quality to it, right? Neptune can't necessarily be grasped. Like even if it is in the state of water, like liquid water, and you try to hold liquid water in your hands, there's only so much that you can hold in your hands before it will kind of seep out, and it's only a minimal amount. Like, it's not, you know, you can touch it, you can drink it, like that has more of a tangible kind of effect to it, a quality to it. Neptune's kind of like when water turns gaseous. I never can say it right. Gases? Like, it turns into a state of a gas, like a mist, a fog, an evaporation, something like that. Maybe more of like the foggy kind of energy, where it's like the humidity is hanging around and maybe you can't really see clearly straight through it. But like maybe you can sort of feel like a slight dampness, like on the back of your neck or your arms or something. And yeah, so there can be a lot there where it's like the water's still there, but it's in a form that you can't hold, and you can't necessarily, like, you can touch it, but you can't really touch it. It's like a slight residue on your skin or something, and that's if it was thick. Like, it's not always going to be the case, okay? Anyway, that being said, so it's kind of like seeing through things. It would be like a transcendent quality, okay? So I think this is going to be an energy that I think a lot of people are going to be intimidated by. A lot of people are going to misunderstand. They're frankly not. Whether it's like Mars rule, Pluto rule, doesn't matter. I feel like Scorpio, Neptune, not everyone's going to understand it. The fact that it's in the 10th house, it's like that's how people are going to see you, okay? It's going to be like what you're known for somehow. It doesn't matter necessarily. I don't really want to go back and connect this through to like occupations or anything like that. I mean, you could do a job that could be like relative to some type of like 8th house type field. I know we've got 10th house there as well, so it could be Capricorn, but it doesn't have to be that. I mean, 8th house can be talking about taboo topics and stuff, so there could be like a willingness to kind of go into the darkness in a way that other people cannot. And I don't feel like it's bad or a negative thing or an evil thing. I feel like it's a willing to just understand that there is a lot of duality in life and all different parts of life that needs integration. And you know, one human being to the next, if they were put in the same situation, might act in a similar way, okay? So like a kind of just understanding human nature way. I'm not, that's not an excuse for anything. It's just a part of what's coming through. All right, that being said, so we've done the mystery, we've done the allure, talked about, you know, ex relationships, you know, how you've maybe evolved through that. We want to go back to the topic, who loves you. So I feel like we've got a really good understanding of you. We want who. That's too many cards. I just want to do a quick zodiac call and just see, it could be for like you or the other person. So we do have Taurus and Libra. I feel like I have a double confirmation for Taurus here. I said Aquarius. We did talk about Capricorn. Okay. So there's also Virgo. And Capricorn. Okay, so it's good that we got double confirmation on Capricorn. So we've really got all the earth signs. We did have the King of Pentacles, but I didn't want to just throw it out there as a general all earth signs, but it actually has come to be anyway. Okay, so I have to say that this person is probably going to be a good person. It doesn't have to be the case, right? Like every sign can always have like their positive, their negative, their balanced and imbalanced sort of versions of themselves. I just feel like maybe we'll put it this way. If they want to be a good person, I think that you would find that they would be excellent in some way. I want to get more sort of characteristics of how we could talk about this person. I do feel like there probably is like a strong spiritual energy here. I kind of got it before and I didn't want to just project that, because chances are if you're at a tarot reading, then you're like a spiritual person, or, you know, maybe not super spiritual, but you're into some type of divination to even want to seek out a tarot reading, okay? It's understanding that there's like a power higher than I. So you don't have to be spiritual. It could be religious. It doesn't matter. Could just be being open to the universe in some way, even if it's your own kind of dip your toe in the water way, where it's like, you know that there's more and you acknowledge that, and it doesn't have to be anything deep. And so that could be like that representative of this other person. Okay. What I would say is that I feel like this other person has a kindness to them, but they're very smart as well. Okay, I think that maybe not a lot would get by this person, like with Shravana here. They're pretty good at taking things in. I want another card and I just don't know what I want. So there could be something here where maybe this person, maybe no, like, and we've got that contrast of like the sun and the moon, and like 12 and 22. So like some type of cycle being closed out, right, with that previous person and experience, and the 10 making up the difference and the gap. I think this is, you know, and we had that, like the waiting room's been kind of being like, you know, people have been cleared out so that new people could come in. This definitely could be a person who's been waiting in line for a while. Maybe they've been sitting to the side on the back burner. Maybe they've just been there playing it by ear, trying to be kind or show up when it matters, or just being a supportive person in the background that even if they're not necessarily messaging you, they're there if you need them or something like that. There could be like a bit of a reliable kind of quality to that. So I actually feel like group one, you might have a couple. There's at least 2 people. We'll see what else we get. So the sun and the moon, we did talk about this in one of the last picker cards. I can't remember which one it was. And there's a bit of a contrast between like the way that you're seen and the way that you feel. And sometimes the way that you are seen can impact how you feel, but also the way that you feel can impact how you're seen, right? If you're acting out of that. And I know I keep talking about as if I'm talking about it to you, but this could actually be representative. I mean, it could be like a dynamic that goes on between you and this person where you're a little bit mystified by each other in some way. What I would say is that if this person hasn't necessarily been waiting, there could be a quality of they've just been around. We'll play with that. We'll see. So we also have 3 of Cups and King of Cups. Yeah, they could be a very supportive person. This is also another, I don't know, it could be a person that you would have fun with. It could be a person who's supportive. We talked about that. There could also, I do have to say, I've almost got like a split in this energy, okay? I feel like I've got like 2 people coming through in this same set of cards. I feel like there is one person who's been there for a long time and they've been playing the kind of spare tire, like the old reliable, you can come to me when you need something. They're very supportive, but I feel like they may, I don't know, maybe they like to drink a little bit, or maybe they're just in an element of kind of having fun or something like that. And I don't necessarily know if I would get a bad energy from it or anything, but it's just where they're at. And so maybe that would be a person that you knew from when you were younger. Maybe you were in an environment where you kind of partied or something, or you just, even if you weren't necessarily partying, it was like that version of fun from that time. And so maybe this would be a person that you've known for like 10 years or so. Now, the other person that I've got here is quite like very intellectual, very intelligent, kind of socially adept, very, like, I feel like both of them are kind, but going back to this other person who's like a little bit more intellectual and intelligent, maybe they're just like more mentally kind of focused or driven, or like they need more stimulation. They would be quite engaged in the world, in a way that's quite mental. And they, you know, when there's that thing about intelligence, when you're able to learn something's one thing, where you can regurgitate it is another, to a point where you can then like apply the thing that you've learned, and it actually has like a successful effect, if that makes sense. It's like another level of intelligence. Okay, so I would say that this person's quite smart, very adept, very good listener. And I think this would be a person who, when you speak, they would hear the things that you don't say as well as the things that you do say. Okay, right? So they could definitely like read between the lines. They may have their own version of what they believe in the world, but I would say that they're fairly just earthy and kind of grounded, and they just kind of do what they do. I'd say they're probably like the more practical out of the 2 of you in one way or another. Take what resonates for that. I think that they would probably be, we've got like the power to connect to others. So there would probably be a person who could come meet any person that they come into contact with at the best of their ability at almost the other person's level. And I think they would do it with grace and kindness and respect and dignity, but they were also adept enough, firm enough, and have a really good, secure foundation in their own boundaries to where they would not play into anything. Like, I feel like they would not get caught out in weird dynamics or anything. However, I feel like this person, although maybe you have met them in a supportive environment or with like Capricorn being there when the 10th house, it could be in a work environment, okay? And maybe this is part to do with like that transformative energy going through like the sort of healing or previous experiences that could have been a little bit heartbreaking or like whatever that is for you. Maybe they've been a person who has been aided in support in some way. And there could be something here where this person is already in connection. And if that's the case, you may feel like, well, I'll just drink my feelings and be on my way, okay? The other side of it is it's like, yes, they are a supportive person, but like there's nothing there for it because it's like all tied up, okay? We want a little bit more about this person or how it is that they come to be that they love you, because I don't think, like, if they are in connection, I don't feel like it doesn't mean that they don't love who they're in connection with, but they could have found themselves at a weird kind of crossroads moment where they never expected something like this to happen. But they're also like, the energy feels loyal or practical to the situation, but don't let me say just that. Let's take some more cards, get some more energy, and see where they really stand. Like, what's really, how do they, this is not to encourage people. Yeah, I don't, it doesn't even matter, right? Like, it's not meant to be judgment. It's not meant to be encouraging or discouraging. It's just who it is that like loves you, right? So we're taking a dive and seeing what we get. I mean, for some of you, it could double down, like if that past person had moved on and is in a relationship. But for a lot of you, I feel like it's a totally separate person. I feel like for most of you, it's a separate person. I feel like for this group, there's like 3 of you. Yeah, the Hierophant, which can be like representative of like marriage and contracts and kind of institution or traditional systems. So I could definitely, but it could also be like that sort of touch on spirituality and religion as well, right? So and it's Taurus. So we've got like, yeah, Cap, Virgo, Taurus. We've got Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. So it's kind of like earth or fixed signs, but anyway. Okay, and we have the Tower, yeah, and the Page of Swords. I just, yeah, it's like maybe you come in and this person, you know what it makes me think of? When people kind of take on the pathway of like self-development, self-actualization, because their life is pretty good. Like they've got it made, they've got the foundation down, and they're able to actually start to build upon themselves or build upon the life that they've already carved out for themselves. Like weirdly enough, I was on TikTok this morning and a reel come up and there's like a girl who has a drawer in her bedroom that, and I'm like, I'm a Virgo, like I love this stuff. I don't do it in my own life. I can't even imagine it. I just live in the organized chaos. But she had like individual bags for every single bikini that she had. Meanwhile, she had like 20 plus bikinis or something. Like, who even has that many pairs of togs? I'm sure it's like normal, but togs is swimmers, right? Like, just ignore that Australian way of speaking. But my individual identical bags that were like little Ziploc bags, and like if she was going to go on a holiday or something, she could grab out like her 2 favorite bikinis, throw them in. They don't get mixed up or anything like that. She already knows where they are. She doesn't lose pieces or anything. And it was like perfectly organized, and it was like the most mentally freeing moment, but also like aesthetically pleasing and also just super practical. Like I totally get it. Can't live, like I don't know if I'm that person, but so I don't know why this is like coming up, but it was like kind of like, oh my God, what a better way of doing life. So this person could be a bit more of like a type A person or something. Maybe that's like a thing there. Okay, so going back to where we were getting up to, it's like this person, not only could they have their life super refined in those ways where they've kind of already like, they've hashed out all the like small, minimal, weird day-to-days. Like this person would not have a junk drawer in their house. I don't think that would exist. Everything would have like a perfect place and a perfect home. But also, even if they don't have the physical side of that down pat, I think there's something here where they have climbed the stairs of like self-actualization as an internal process within themselves. So they know themselves very well. They're very developed as a person. I feel like they've already kind of hashed out a lot of their own kind of issues. They're actually probably really well developed, which is really nice and I feel like hard to find. And they probably actually know themselves at a deeper level than most. But also, you know, there's that saying of like, you can only ever, I don't know, like people can only ever meet you at the level that they've met themselves. So I feel like this person has kind of met themselves at a deeper level, but in like an aspired self-improvement way. So I kind of, the way that I want to explain this, because it might not necessarily hash out or be confirmation for you, for this person, for how you know them, because in some ways if you're here, then like maybe you are on a self-development path. I feel like we all kind of are, but all in different weird ways. So like if you're looking at shadow work, I kind of get it as in going beneath the surface, and I'm not saying this person hasn't done that. I feel like maybe they've kind of teased out certain things in that way, but I feel like they live above the surface. So like shadow work, what we're doing underneath, what they're doing would be like very practical, very mindful, planning, like kind of preventative, like taking action, being very, it's like being intellectually very capable, fluid, flexible, able to put things together in a really wonderful way where it all stacks up, and they're just very smart, right? But like very mindful. So they live on the side of being mindful. You might live on the side of like shadow work. So you're both very developed in very different opposing ways. I would almost say that as smart as this person is, they may not totally understand your version of it, because their version is so different, and it would be like the practical version, whereas yours, it's like yang and yin, right? It's literally like that. The shadow work would be the yin, their mindfulness, like getting solutions for everything would be like the yang, and it's like the same version, but just in a different way. Okay, anyway, so there's something here where it's like they have finessed and hashed out their life in such a way that I feel like it's pretty well hit like a level of perfection. And I don't usually like using that word, but I feel like this person's so adept at everything they do. They're just like a super, I don't know, like just everything they do, they're just like really good at it. They're very good at many things. If they're not good at it, they work it out. They're very capable, super capable. Yeah, anyway. And then I feel like this kind of tower moment happens, and then they're sent back to basics in some ways to look at, learn, or develop in certain ways that they maybe hadn't before. And it's taken them back to the drawing board. It's also intrigued them, but I also feel like there's something about you that is very different, okay? So you would be different to the traditional system, especially with like Neptune there, like you could represent a whole different version of the path. But there's also something here that you could have come across in some sort of way of being undeveloped to them, maybe in just like one particular area. So like we could say that maybe you're at the beginning of an academic journey, and it doesn't have to be academics, it's just like what's coming up, right? You could be like learning a specific thing, but you're like the novice, right? The amateur, the rookie, starting out in that one area. And it's not that you're not developed in other areas. It could be something here that they just recognize you as like an understudy, or a person who like could need or wants a mentor, or maybe it's not even that at all. They could see you as a person who is just learning, and it doesn't matter what the learning is. I feel like that's probably a better way to describe it. But there is a guidance with your learning, and I don't know if they understand it, again, coming back to that. But it's like maybe you just crashed into each other's path somehow, and they just seen you as kind of like innocently learning your way through life, and they're very established, and it's just created this kind of it's just shaken things up for them that I don't think they realized were this. It's like they had the perfect castle, and they didn't realize that there was a big crack in like certain, you know, corners or beams, or you know, parts of the foundation or something, and now they're having to go back and look at things. Like maybe they found out that there's like termites in a very fundamental beam in the middle of, I don't know why I'm talking like this, but it's just what's coming out, okay? And so what I feel like is that this foundation that they're talking about is not necessarily that they've built things the wrong way, because I just don't think that they're like that. I feel like they've kind of done everything exactly the way that, like, if you ever talked about a way that you should do things or would be good to do things, or you're competent or capable, or what's the right way to like structurally or soundly, safely build something, they've done it in exactly all those ways. I don't know how, why they just very like kind of good like that. But it makes me think they had some sort of like foundational, I don't know if they were like missing a gap, like there was like a gap in something they were missing, like in an understanding. I feel like they had all the practical things and the smart things kind of down packed, but maybe they were like missing like a type of internal spark, like an ignition or something. I don't know what that is. And then they've seen you and then they're like, oh my God, it's lit them up. So it's like shaking the world and then lit them up at the same time. And now they're like, oh my God, all these things that I didn't understand before. And I'm like seeing it in this real life person. Okay, now that we've talked about that, I also am getting low battery, so I don't know how much more we can do here. And I do feel like this is the last person for group 1. So if you are still with me at this point, then we will keep going and then we'll start to wrap it up. And hopefully the noise stays away. I just want to take a drink of water. The irony is that I think that even though you would be the person less developed in this, whatever this area is, this learning area that they seem to be a bit more developed in, I think you actually are teaching them some way, I don't know. Okay, let's see what else we get. So who's this person? Do you know, feel like they'd be quite peaceful, but they're able to deal with conflict when it comes. Very like righteous, like they're on the right side of things. Like if you had to walk a tightrope in terms of like moral integrity, this person would be on the right side of things. And I think that they actually understand how building things the right way from scratch, the long hard way, they've got like perseverance and determination. I think you'd find that this person's probably actually built themselves up in a way where they've overcome, like, I don't know if what they had on their path and what they didn't, in terms of like whether they started out self-sabotaging or anything. I think that this person started out in a place in life where they have had to really, maybe there were certain kind of social privileges that were not awarded to them, or maybe this person had to really work off skills. So like maybe, I don't know why I'm kind of getting it come through, because I actually think this person probably is quite attractive, but maybe in like high school or something, they hadn't really grown into their body properly, or like they weren't like in their peak of like attractiveness or something like that. I kind of get this person that wouldn't really hit their peak until 25. And I don't even think that they're necessarily, then it's hard to say like how attractive is a person, especially if you didn't know them back then, and everyone ranks attractiveness in different ways, right? But it's very much gives me, and it doesn't matter what the gender is, right? It's like a man or a woman who doesn't really come into their full kind of fruition until 25. But I think that they just knew that looks were never going to be something they could coast on. And if they were attractive, it's not something, maybe they seen like a hollowness or a shallowness in it, or how it did not actually serve them, or how at times it could have been a hindrance, regardless of whether people want to talk about pretty privilege or not, where they knew that it was not going to help them get by in the real world on a hard day when, you know, no one else, like, I don't even feel like it's about that either. And I don't even think it's a super pride-filled thing. I think this person is very smart. They like a challenge. They had like a very honest heart and they wanted to do things the right way. Anyway, so yeah, we've got like sublimination. There could be something that's coming into their mind. Like you could be making them think about things that they've not thought about before. And it could be causing a mental, like a feeling torn in two different directions. I don't necessarily think that means they're going to like leave their person or anything, but let's take some more cards and just see. And like, to be honest, we should never really be hoping anyone like leaves their person anyway. You know, like there's like if someone is going to break up with someone that they're in. Like, it's, I don't know how to explain this because I'm not really here to say like what's right or what's wrong, but the way that I'm kind of, the point that I'm trying to get at, that I'm feeling called to talk about, is that I guess on one hand, it's like, it's good if a person recognizes that they're no longer progressing in a connection, like a connection's no longer fulfilling to them, or they can't. This all feels very shallow and hollow, and I don't think this person is, and I feel like I'm doing a disservice to it. I think if they realize they had like truly irreparable problems in the current relationship, and then they left it, and then they spent their own time working through their stuff and, you know, the separation and all of that, and they got back to themselves living their happy life, and then it happens to be that you come into connection later and it is built off an honest foundation, then it is very different, okay? Waiting for a person to separate out from a connection for someone, it's, I don't know, like, I feel like it's not wrong to have like a crushy feeling or anything like that. And then, you know, you just keep living your life unattached, and you don't hold yourself back or have ill intentions or wishes for other people, but you just continue with your life, and I don't know, one day it lands in your lap. I don't want anyone to ever be holding themselves back, like in a way where they're waiting for something that could not ever come. I think, yeah, it's like the energy's gone quiet, so maybe that's what I needed to say. Okay. All right. Let's see what else. I'm not sure if that's all of it and if that's really exact or perfect. It's going to be different for everyone, but yeah, 401. So it's like a second card representative of like, you know, long-term connections within the home, reasons to celebrate. Marriage is typically, like a wedding is typically kind of represented by the 4 of Wands. So like the Hierophant and the 4 of Wands, to me, it's that long-term connection. Like they could have actually had anniversaries, like they could have been together for a long time, okay? Yeah, and then we've got new beginning, wish fulfillment, 4 of Cups, positively moving forward. Yeah, I think it's just created a conflict within themselves. But we've got the 4 of Pentacles. I feel like they're just, regardless of how they might feel and whatnot, I think they're just trying to keep it together, because I think they realize something here, especially if they've been with this person for a very long time. I feel like this person's actually a really good person. Like, they kind of recognize that there are times in a long-term relationship where things are not perfect. Sometimes things are hard. Sometimes things are boring. Sometimes things are this. Sometimes things are that. But they actually have put the work in to maintain it long-term and make it good. This would be a person who pours into their partner. They don't wonder why the garden's dying when they're pouring into someone else, if that makes sense. They are actively gardening their garden, right? Yeah. I think if I had to say anything, they could be lying to themselves about the feelings or the thoughts that they're having. They could be some sort of like intuitive kind of connection. Yeah, I feel like they're a pretty good, like, centered kind of person who's done the honest thing. They've done the hard work, and they are dedicated and committed, and they're like working on themselves. And then I think there is something here where they could be trying to transmute whatever this is. They're trying to shift something about this. Maybe they're taking this as a opportunity for learning about themselves and their current situation. But I do have to say, I feel like there is something, I kind of get the vision of like ripples in the water going out. So it's like maybe this person has a thought or something, and then the ripple is sent out, and then there's like an intuition. So it could go either way. Like, I don't know if you're having a thought about this person and then you feel the ripple, or vice versa. You have the thought and they feel the ripple. There's definitely an intuitive thing here. So even if this person doesn't class themselves as a person who is necessarily like intuitive or anything like that, I think they're finding themselves wondering where the thought might come from or something like that. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Hangman. So this can be an energy of having hands tied, being in a position of inaction, obviously, watching to see how things play out. Also very intuitive, seeing things from a different perspective, waiting for things to, see how they play out or unfold. But like, maybe they're keeping it to themselves as well. So I don't know if I could really get more on this situation. I don't know if we really need to. We've kind of had, I feel like by now you would know who this person is. So like the people that have come through, there's an ex, there's a person that you've known a long time who's probably sitting there waiting, like, you know, they're just there for you if you go to them. And then there's this person here who has at some point been a support or an aid, but seems to be like an off-limits kind of connection. Anyway, that being said, that's everything that I have for you today, group one. Hopefully this is like helpful, interesting. If it resonated, definitely like the video for sure. Feel free to share in the comments if that's something that you're like, you know, I don't know, I guess you'll just do it if you want to do it. And I'll see you in another one. Bye. Welcome in group two. If you chose the witch card, then this is going to be your reading for today. I do feel like it is of no coincidence that not only have I pulled the witch card, but I also felt very called to use the Hoodoo Tarot. So it's not a deck I pull out all the time. It's like a really lovely deck, but it also has like a lot of depth to it. And I guess, you know, it can sometimes come up during heavier readings is what I would say. That aside, I do feel like the theme of today's reading is going to be who it is that loves you. And I feel like this is a person who maybe does not, maybe there's part of the journey here that they are not privy to. They have not had like a shared experience in some way. So we have it represented with a person who knows freedom, but somehow is tied up in this freedom that they have, cannot see, you know, how things might be kind of like a house would be on fire internally, and they can't see it from the outside or something like that, okay? So let's see what else we got. Yeah, 10 of coins. This is 10 of pentacles. So, I mean, you could already be in partnership with this person. They definitely could be looking at, I don't know. Look, if there is any sort of inner turmoil within yourself, this person could still just like look at you with rose-colored glasses and just like love you no matter what. And to them, it's not a flaw. Okay. So that's definitely one good point that I would, you know, something, you know, part of like, you know, who it is that loves you. I don't think, on one hand, we could say maybe they do not understand, they lack depth perception, and therefore there could be a level of like ignorance. On the other hand, we could argue that they love you regardless of, you know, any messiness or any instability in your life or anything kind of crumbling down around you, okay? And that there 100% is a want to be part of a greater, like a family with you. This is like forging a path together. This is making a family. This is creating a legacy. This is coming together in all the small moments that count, the small and the not so small. So they want to get together. I feel called to use the words Thanksgiving, right? Like I live in Australia. We don't have Thanksgiving. We have Christmas, right? And obviously like, you know, every culture and everything's going to have their own holiday celebrations. But, so to me, this would be like, you know, Christmas would be a time of coming together and like as a family, and you kind of do like big Christmas dinners and everything, whatever that Australian version is, but this would be the equivalent of like a Thanksgiving, okay? So it's like making sure that everyone is together in those really important sort of family moments, that there is like shared love and joy and stability and security, and everyone gets all the things that they want, and everyone's like safe, and you know, it's just like a healthy family, right? It's like healthy family being taken care of, good stuff. But then at the same time, it's also like this is a person who wants to have all the small moments play out in a really wonderful way as well. So like I know that this might seem insignificant to some people, but I think that to this person, it means a lot, okay? And I think that there's like a lot of love. The more I talk about it, I almost feel my heart start to like well up or swell or something like that. And it's like, I don't know if it's opening or expanding, and they just have a lot of love to give, and they just want to make sure everyone just has anything and everything that they want. So this is like, this person's going to make sure that there's gravy at that dinner, at every dinner, or like whatever dinner calls for having gravy or something like that. But okay, so it's also coming through in a bit of a way where this person could be like a bit of a foodie, or maybe you guys are used to a higher standard of living or something like that, right? Because there's this, I know sometimes there are certain meals when you go to restaurants, this is not the way that I grew up, but when I started going to restaurants, like with my own money, then I was like, oh, what is juice? Or like juice or juice? I don't know how to pronounce it, right? But it's like, I guess like a fancy mix between like I don't know, it's like its whole own thing, okay? I don't know how to explain it. I'm just like a terrible Australian, kind of like just bogan or something, I don't know. And so it's like this person, they could love food. They want to love everyone through feeding them. They want to make sure all the meals are there. They want like yummy, healthy meals like every night for dinner. It wouldn't surprise me if this person like is cooking like close to 5-star dishes every single night for the family. And they don't even care that they are cooking every night for the family. That's like just how they're loving on everybody, right? And that's really nice. But I think there's like a real happiness and a real joy here in watching like family just like grow together and play, like kids playing together and growing up together, and watching new generations come in. So it wouldn't surprise me here. It doesn't matter like what age group you fit into, because this is like a love for a lifetime, right? A growing together. This is like a growing grey. This is really nice. But yeah, so there definitely could be a different standard of living here. And so there could be something here where I do feel called to say that maybe you started out at a different point in life to this person who loves you. So maybe there are certain things about like your history or where you came from that they're maybe just not ever really going to understand, and that's okay. Could be heritage related, could be culturally related, right? I keep getting a lot of that come through. The other side of it is that especially if you're okay, this is weird, okay? A lot of stuff about America. So like if it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't resonate for you, just ignore this snippet. Like you can skip forward if it's a bit much. But what I would say is that if you're not necessarily in America, there could be the overall theme might still apply, even though it's not exact for your life situation, okay? So I'm getting old America, and I don't know what actually is the old Americas. I'm not educated in any way, shape or form, other than like I've done like Australian high school, and I completed it, but I did not pass it because I did not go sometimes. All right. I was a menace. And it's like in what I'm getting, old Americas, I'm almost getting like Virginia. I'm almost getting like, I almost want to say like even South America. So I'm not South America. That's wrong. Is it North America? It's like, you know where like Carolina is? No, why is this coming through like this? I want to say from like Florida, I'm getting like New Orleans, like Virginia, I'm even getting Massachusetts, and I don't know where any I'm not in the last, I don't even know when the last time was I sat down and looked at any sort of map of America ever, let alone you know where like the bayous are? Is that how you say it? Bio. It's making me think of like Creedence Clearwater, like Revival, like, I don't know. And that I know that that's a bit rednecky. And when I was trying to say that I could just be like this bogan Australian, I feel like I could fit the tip of the iceberg of like a little bit of an Australian version of a redneck. No, like I don't feel like there's, I don't know why. I feel like I don't ever really get racial stuff come through. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you look like, where you come from. You're a person, right? So that's, I just feel like I need to make that clarification or definition there when I'm talking about like that redneck sort of style. But it could come from areas where there is that sort of people around, or you could resonate with that, or this person could be like, you know, some sort of cultural history there. And there is you guys, I mean, there could be like mixed racial, you guys could come from the different backgrounds, right? Like you could have, is it South Carolina? Is that, I don't know. I don't know. Just if it doesn't resonate, just ignore it. But it could be the example of two very different, but like kind of forging the land together at the same time throughout history. And a lot of history gone down. And I just, with that aside, because I keep getting caught up in this like racial stuff, and I don't know if that even really matters here at all or not, okay? So that being put aside, because I think what it really speaks to is a difference, like there's just like societal differences, okay? And I don't know how deep that is, and I don't know how much that's really the point of to go into the reading, other than the fact that it could help you identify and be like a point of confirmation for you. The other thing that I was really getting come through, right, is like the witchy side and the hoodoo side, right? So like some of the places that I was like speaking about, it's making me think of, who is it? Like I feel like there's certain movies of it, and I'm probably going to reference them all wrong, but like, say, for example, Pirates of the Caribbean, and I think it's Calypso, right? It would be like a Calypso style, eclectic, aesthetic genre of maybe like a witchy woman, but she's like in the bayou or something like that. And so this might not necessarily be you, but this could be relevant representative of like, cultural history, ancestry, or an area that you lived in. Maybe it was like normal to have people in the community that like root worker style, right? Like this deck, this hoodoo tarot deck, like book for root workers, okay? Right. So now that we've got that's out of the way. So if you come from a background like that, or if your person comes from the background like that, the other one of you might not have that history in root worker sort of witchy stuff, right? It also makes me think of like the witch trials and all that sort of stuff, like the whole, the Salem thing. And I don't even think Salem's really like, it's just the one that everyone knows about, right? And if you want to talk about like Europe and all that sort of stuff, I think there was a whole heap of that sort of stuff going on over there as well, okay? All right, that being said, that aside, I feel like there's this need to acknowledge I wasn't always like this, I had to create who I am. So this very much could be a person who, again, we started out, you and this person at different places in life, and you had to really grind to get to where you are. And then there could be this, I'm getting the chills, like the full body goosebumps. And then even if you don't necessarily have this history, you could just live in an area that has this history, but then maybe you're coming into some type of like witchy aesthetic, and that somehow plays into part of like a divine union, like a feminine, masculine meeting, mating, mixing kind of energy. What do we want next? Alchemical union. It's also making me think of what's that song, Grinspoon, like Chemical Heart. I don't know if that's relative for anyone, but I mean it could be. We've got Uranus. Yeah, this is going against the grain. This could be seen as being like rebellion or not doing the dumb thing. This could be being like the originality, richness in the unique being as an independent person. Two people that are strong in themselves coming together in some way. But yeah, you could just live in an area where this is, I don't know, like a bit of history there, right? And now, because before I was getting old America, now I'm hearing like the Great Americas, and then I'm hearing like North America, and then I don't know, it's going on. So like obviously I have a lot of my viewers are like here in Australia, but also in other countries as well. So there just could be themes around like maybe one of you is like a bit of like a history buff or something. Like I'm speaking in a way that I don't really speak. Like maybe you just like looking into the history of all of these types of themes. Like one of you could be like a history teacher or something like that. I don't know. I kind of do wonder if someone here teaches like teenagers or something as well. Or there could be like, we have the blue temple coming through. And so like, I haven't read up on that, and I'm just like the fact that like temple's coming up, and then we've got Uranus. So there could be like a teaching of like things that are not typically done. Okay. But Azure. That's a vault. Yeah, and Saturn. So like, you could have a bit of the history to match whatever it is that you're teaching, or this person. I feel like it's mostly this person. So maybe your person is a teacher. Maybe, I just can't tell what end of this you're on. So you're either hearing about yourself, or you're hearing about this person that loves you. And there could be like, what feels to me like I'm jumping all over the place. You will be able to attribute what characteristics go to what person. But I do feel like it's probably this person who is teaching things maybe you have some type of connection with, and you kind of help them bridge the gap between like the academic or the teaching or the ideas, the conceptualizing, with like the reality, or like this is what a grounded example of that may look like. Okay, so they don't have to be a teacher, but they also could be, there just could be a lot of structure. It could just also be an example of them being very structured, right? We've got like the 10 of Pentacles there and Saturn, and this is like even with the big house, it is actually the card in this deck for the Tower, okay? But it is also coming through as like the big house. It's very like there's a big structure, okay? Like there's a lot happening there. And the temple, it's a foundational structure in some ways, right? Before people can gather, must there be a temple? So let's look at the blue temple. That's the one that I'm feeling called to look at, because there's probably more there. Anyway, I hope we're kind of getting to the point of a lot of like points of confirmation for you, or recognition or something like that, as opposed to just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to hit differently for everyone as well, I guess, and it's just part of the journey to get there. So I don't even look at what number it is. I wonder if you guys had been together for like a long time, or if you like met when you were young, or you met, oh, okay. I mean, a lot of these foundations could have been built around how and when you met. So you could have like met through family or community or family friends or something. You could have also met around like teacher educational stuff. You could have met around temple stuff. You could have met around like I'm getting like unorthodox ideas or something like that. So maybe something there, like this is people who care deeply about the country that they live in, and they know the history, and they could be educators themselves. And so there could be like a lot of, I don't want to say taking pride as in like a negative connotation, as in like, you know, pride can sometimes be the death of people, but this is actually genuinely just being proud of who you are, what you've created, what it is, the way, like the legacy that you're creating in the world for your children, but also like the impact that you're having in a positive, healthy way within like a society and a community, and bringing people together. So there could definitely be that, but it also could be to do around a bit more like spiritual concepts and stuff, or going back to that sort of history side of it, or teaching from history or something like that. I don't know. It's going to be, yeah. I feel like with some of you, I feel like this is a real touch and go one. Like I feel like maybe like only every second thing I'm saying is kind of like confirmation for some people, while for others this is really hitting the nail on the head. So yeah. Okay, let's go back to this blue temple. Oh man, I've never felt like I wanted to go quicker in a reading. So I don't know if that's just because you or this person is very quick. Definitely could be, but also you could be like very busy. And I would say if you have the 10 of Pentacles there, that would make a lot of sense, right? You like probably have like family, you probably have like your day-to-day life and your like whatever your career obligations are that keeps the family running, and you would be the person who's trying to do a few things at once. You like maybe listening to this while you're like doing some sort of preparations for like a dinner on Saturday night or something like that. I don't know. It makes me think of like what you would see in the movies growing up, of like an American family having people over and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. The way, I don't know why I feel called to talk about the way that I grew up was like very casual. Like Australians are just very like laid back, spur of the moment, kind of like, oh yeah, we're doing this if you want to come over for a barbecue tonight or something like that. And it's like not always is it like that. Like it's just a whole different version. So what I would say is that maybe you are people who do things like properly. Maybe you are people who have a little bit more formality in your day-to-day. Maybe, yeah, I'm still not there. Is there something else I haven't talked about? What is it? You guys could be, you're this person. I think it's your person. There could be some sort of like wanting to understand or work out mysteries of the universe. I'm really not getting anything. And then maybe passing it on to people. This is going to be a weird one, and it's not going to be for everyone. So maybe only like 1 or 2 people, but there could be something to the equivalent of like Freemasons or something like that, right? And I've had this energy come through on the channel before, and I have had the energy of like brotherhoods, and it doesn't have to specifically be anything to actually do with Freemasonry, although it definitely could be. It's like secret societies, brotherhoods. Doesn't have to be a brotherhood, right? It doesn't have to be the gendered thing, but I get that come through strongly for some people. So it could be whatever version of a secret society or underground kind of covens, beliefs, all that sort of stuff. And it's making me think about like the Kabbalah and I don't know what else. Yeah, a lot of historical teachings. Why can I still not find it? Am I just not meant to read it? We might, it's not hard. Like, it's not hard to find like the page for the card that I'm looking for in the book. And I just need to take a moment and look at the index or whatever it is and find the card numbered page, and that will be easier because flicking through is not doing I like do everything on a whim. Like I would be, so I don't know, there could be a difference between you and your person being like type A, type B, and this was actually kind of like a theme that did come through in group 1 as well. So I do wonder if like there usually is like a bit of a theme that comes through in all of the groups, kind of like an underlying theme that is overarching or underarching, whatever you want to call that. And so what I would say is that there could be pairings today in Who It Is That Loves You, where there is some type of opposites coming together in terms of type A, type B kind of personality. So like one person could be kind of like organized and the real structured energy. The other person could be a person who does stuff on a whim or through intuition. Whatever that would mean, especially if like on one side we have Saturn and on the other side we have the Temple, and there's somehow with Uranus here, and I felt called, like when I took these cards out I was like, oh, alchemy or alchemical, right? So there could be like an alchemical process that goes on between the pair of you coming together where you really bridge the gap in some way, which is really nice. I feel like this is a foundation for lifetime. If I didn't say lifetime stuff before, I'm saying it now. If you are single and you are still here in this reading, this could be a person that you are feeling drawn to, that you have your eye on. This could be like a kind of crush of a person that you would like pass in the street when you go for a walk or a jog or something like that. Or maybe you know them from your local community, like from one of these areas, but like you're not actually together or something. There could be a bridge of a gap between checking in on a person who I would say that I don't really like having this come through in the same reading, right? Because what I would say is that if you're single, the person who loves you could be part of, like, there already is in an established connection, relationship, or organization of some kind, right? And there's coming through with that Tower moment, I can't ignore it. If that's the case, you would feel drawn to group 1 already. And this would be like confirmation for you, and this would almost be like a redirection for you to ask you to maybe go check out group 1. It does take you, the first part of group 1 is a little bit of a drag, talking about like an ex or something, but after that we do talk about other people coming through for you, okay? Like there was more than one person. But to split this up, to go back to the point, most people here in this group would have to be partnered, or you have had your eye on each other for a long time in passing or something, where like there's a steady, reliable, safe, gentle, always be there for you, help you do it the right way. Like not sweating the small stuff. I like almost like I don't know how to explain it. It's like being positive, but not in like a peppy kind of just ignore it, toxic positivity way. It's just like I can find a way to help you do that. Or maybe that's not so bad. Or like it takes the judgment, or it takes any negative or positive connotation out of things. And it's like, it's okay to just be that. And there are parts of life that are messy, and that's all right. And like, you know, why don't we just go make the most of it, and we can just go do this now. Maybe we should take the football down the beach and just go kick it and have a barbecue. I don't know what that is, right? Anyway, if I can't find this card in a moment, I'm just going to stop and we're going to move on, because I feel like I have flicked through the book page for page and I've still not found this card. And so there could be something here where I don't know if you took a long time to come together, or if you feel like you have had many partners before this person, or you've had many different like chapters together in which you've kind of worked, like, I don't know, like maybe there's been lots of different evolutions of the version of what your relationship looks like to get here to be to where you are today. There, that's it. That's what I needed to say. Okay. So we have welcome to the Blue Temple, the home of the alchemical imagination. You have entered a space of new depths, new possibilities, and the inner eye opens and you become willing to see in a new way. To understand this card, one must study blue itself. And blue collar work is coming through as well. And that's not really a term that I use or understand properly, right? It's the type of work. It is the celestial color of the sky, the ocean, and the peacock's tail, and through potent blue slips away. Through this color, our imagination threads together experiences, both grim and glorious, and think blue films and blue ribbons, the halls of heaven and the horrors of melancholy. And we are taken into the depths of mood, of tone, of the rhythm of the blues. The eternal mystery of blue will only deepen as we study it, and this is precisely the point. Leave the cerebral behind. Cloak yourself in the sapphire robe and sit quietly in the vault of mysteries. So there's definitely like a calling here where you guys meet in the middle, where like, you know, one person might be structured or academic or whatever that is, and they're the type A person, whatever. And then this other person, there's something here where it's like bridging the gap, inspiring them, opening their mind, opening their eyes to this other way, bringing it together. So it's like the fabrics of the universe. I don't know why I'm talking like this, okay? So hopefully that makes sense for you and resonates. And I just want to take a couple more cards before we wrap this up. What do we got? Like Uranus, Mars, Saturn. There's lots of stuff. Hieroglyphs could even be a thing. So someone could like study ancient history, mythical. It could be anything. Like, I don't know. It's going to be different for everyone. And even if it's not like full-blown academic studies where someone's like a professor or a teacher, it could literally be like hobbies and interests that are expanded upon and delved into in a very deep, very specific, very accurate, thorough way. Okay, the devil. Yeah, so we have Capricorn. So, I mean, that can be like how people know you, how you're known in the workplace. I feel like I have to turn that over, even though it's not a bad one. Workaholic, like reputation, always been known together. Some people may wonder how you do it, how you keep it alive, and they may, you know, people that are a little bit naive to I don't know, again, coming back to how there's a couple different situations, what I want to say is if you know that you're this happy family that's already playing out, then maybe some people, they just don't understand how you've made it last for so long. And they would just like, I feel like there would be people that they don't have the same experiences or depths of a relationship with another person, or even the ability to kind of like, I feel like what's happening here between you guys would almost low-key be like magic kind of thing, where it's just like unseen of or unheard of in like the human lifetime, because it kind of is the real deal in some way, and I don't think a lot of people experience that. And I'm getting the goosebumps again, okay? So to other people on the outside, they wouldn't understand it, and they would just think, oh, they're just under the thumb, or they just do what they're told, or they're just like putting up with it, like kind of whatever, because they don't get it, right? But then on the flip side, if you are the single person and you know that there is someone who's already tied up or something like that, then I think that there could be some sort of like, you know, like the feeling stuck, and there could be like a level of kind of fantasizing or like that sort of obsession-y style energy coming through, okay? So very separate energies. I did put that kind of definition in there. I don't feel like anyone that's in a long-term, full-blown, established connection with family and stuff, I don't feel like there's any threat there to it. Yeah. Okay, and then we also have the Fool, so that could be, that's like Uranus again. So we could have like Aquarius, we have, yeah. And then there's the Free Man, so that's Uranus by 3, because the Free Man's actually the Fool. So, which, I mean, it could be Aquarius, could be Capricorn. So someone there could have that placement. No one has to. There's also, we've got Mars on the table and Saturn, so they are malefics, right? So that would be maybe examples of some of the histories or the life lessons, or Saturn is just very structured, right? And Mars could just be as simple as taking action, okay, or taking charge. Or when I think of Mars, I think of like Aries, and so it could be significant zodiac, but it also could be representative of the father. Like, to me, like Aries and Saturn as well are both kind of father energies, right? Anyway, and then we have the Six of Crystals, so Six of Swords. So this could have been, I don't know, right, if you are established, maybe you had to leave somewhere to meet your person, or you like, I don't know, there could have been like a level of like travel or going somewhere different, whether that's to meet them or to move to the same place, or to, I don't know, to like make it work or something like that. It could have been in search of knowledge or seeking, because often like the Six of Swords is like leaving maybe a bad situation, in search of somewhere safer or a new start. It can occasionally come through as like the grass is greener, so take it if it resonates, because I do feel maybe for those of you that are single and there's that other situation going on, there could be something here where that's how you stumbled into this person's life, was through leaving a bad situation or something like that. You somehow come into connection just kind of by chance, right? Like it was not on purpose. But for those of you who are established, it has something to do with how you met. So it's kind of like, what I would say is, if you are established, for some of you, the establishment could be the further down the timeline. Like it could be the future, or it could be where you're at, but like maybe some of the stuff I'm talking about from being single was like, could tie in weirdly somehow as like a history as to how you got here, but it definitely could just be two separate groups as well. All right, and then we have the Moon. Lots of feelings, definitely could be representative of a mother, so there could be like having had children. I feel like we see that in the Ten of Pentacles here anyway. There was really strong family energy, really strong family establishment. If you were together for a long time and didn't have children, it's not a like lack of that same established strong connection that stands the test of time. I feel like it still grows with time and still develops its own type of beauty that it takes on, where things are done really well, and just there's a lot of love, right? Okay, so this is really good. And then I still kind of look at it and I go back to the original card, and she doesn't look really happy, right? And I can't tell if this is just because it's like a been there, done that energy. Because I guess in some ways, for some of you, these examples I gave, maybe the history and the future are the wrong way around. Maybe you've done the family, and then there did come a time where it kind of blew up, and there was that separation. And it's weird to me because the family energy felt so strong that I don't understand how it even happened. And but I feel like ultimately, I don't want this to be confusing, and I know when we do a collective reading like this, even though you're in one group, there are times where it's like very specific, it's only one way possible. There are times where we do have people coming in with a lot of different situations, right? So you kind of have to do that extra level of like, you know, knowing where things are at. And I would just take anything here that doesn't already fit your situation with a grain of salt, right? I think there could be a type of tiredness is what I would say. If you're established, you're happy, you guys are solid, I feel that for a lot of you, then there could be a type of tiredness in your soul, even though you are full on life at the same time. So it could just be like in the quiet moments when you sit with yourself, you may feel that way. But in reality, you are living in the full moment, embracing every part of it and doing all the things, and it's really wonderful. So this is, yeah, I don't know, let me know how this one landed for you guys, because obviously, like I said, there's lots of different situations, but that's like if you're open and, you know, that's something that you want to do, is kind of share upon that. But otherwise, that's really like, oh yeah, and we have Pa at the bottom of the deck as well. So the Moon, I think Pa is like the Emperor in this one, but it's also got, I feel like I need to check now. What is them? 10, 5, 3 under the Moon. So what's that? 18. I feel like I should know this by now, and I feel like I'm doing a disservice. What is it, 72? 72. Yeah, the moon. Okay, cool. So that's really good. So we had the moon twice, but this time it's like depicted with a man, right? So I feel like if there's, you know, a man in this picture, the man is really loving and deeply caring. Okay, so that's why we're going to leave it for this one. I hope that this like resonated for you. If it did, definitely like the videos. Definitely a different one for me. Definitely feel like I maybe have some new or different energy coming through in this group. So yeah, I don't know, hopefully that like hit well or landed well for you, and take care of yourselves. I'll see you in another one. Okay, welcome in group 3. If you chose the emotions card, then this is going to be your reading on who it is that loves you. And I have to say straight off the bat, the first thing that I'm getting is you. And I'm not saying that someone else doesn't love you. We're going to pull more cards on that after we've explored this topic and see what else it is that we get come up. But I think for some reason it is very important, it is very significant, needs to be acknowledged or validated here, that you maybe have reached a level of loving yourself that is enough that you could come through as yourself. And maybe there are moments where you have felt kind of raw or something like that. You've been really hard on yourself. You've just been almost cut off from your emotions, or you've had to just be really logical, or maybe, I don't know if I would say transactional. Maybe you've just had to be pretty straight down the line, or pretty black and white, or something like that, or really firm in boundaries or something like that. And I feel like it's given you life for a new beginning, and you just maybe didn't know it, maybe you did. Wherever that comes from, I feel like it has helped you improve upon having enough energy for yourself to actually, it's like you've poured into yourself and you've kept your energy to you for a while now, whatever way that looks like, through keeping yourself safe, showing yourself love, and pouring back into you. It's like giving you new life again. And it's like, for some of you, you could resonate with this being like a born again, or a new identity, or discovering your authenticity, or like rediscovering your authenticity. This could also be like a, you know, it's just like a lot of growth. It's a lot of growth in a way that I'm like, maybe I'm learning about myself for the first time in life. Maybe I'm learning about myself again after a long period of time where I was kind of shut off from myself or my emotions or my own sense of self or identity. So that could be a thing that we get come through quite often. And we have on this emotions card, honoring the flow, but I also got it come through as like harnessing the flow as well. So there definitely could be like strong energy worker stuff here, where maybe you guys have kind of energy worked yourselves through a period back to life, right? Bringing yourself back to life, bringing that new life back into you. Okay. Yeah, inner child work, 100%. So whether you've been actively doing inner child work, or you having boundaries, or protecting yourself, or saying what it is that you think, or being firm, it's like you've not been letting others take advantage of you or something like that. Seeing clearly, if you had to be a bit sharp and it was a little bit like pointy for other people, it didn't matter, because you were kind of showing and demonstrating to yourself that, I just heard, you've got the love. Like, who's that? Flo, Florence and the Machine. But it's like you've protected yourself. You've allowed this space for you to be able to love yourself and nurture yourself and bring yourself back to life. Okay, so we've said that. And all the emotions. So part of it could have just been like carving out the space for you to allow yourself to do the processing, or to be a little bit emotionally vulnerable in one way. And then I feel like, because this is like being so full up on the emotion because you've been cut off for so long, so now you've given yourself the space to like let it flow, let it go, let it come out, let it bubble up to the surface, let it be. Crying for days if you needed to. I don't know what it looked like for you, and I'm not laughing at a situation. It's really just like me trying to stumble on my words. But yeah, I don't know, it kind of gives me the energy of like, if you were ever a runner, like as in like you would literally go, I mean, take it if it resonates in the other way, but what I mean is that if you would go for a run as part of like your physical exercise, it's good for your health, whatever that looks like, you like to go for a run. It makes me think of like being an emotional mess, like don't know which way is up from down, or you're just like got a whole bunch of feelings and you don't know where to put them, and then all of a sudden you like go for a run and you get the sads out. Right? It's like you're no longer a big emotional mess. Okay, so like running could be really good for you guys. That could be something that you've already done. Doesn't have to be running specifically. Could be just like exercise. You found a way to kind of harness that. You found somewhere to put it, or a way to process it, a way to alchemize it, a way to transmute that, okay? And it's really good. And it's like a healthy version too for this group. Everything that I get for this group is very healthy. So I'm not saying that it's always been healthy, but I'm saying now is healthy. Okay, Queen of Pentacles. So, I mean, you could be on your own a little bit here, but you could be taking care of your health, and you could be establishing routines or foundations or something like that. It also makes me think of like financial security in some way, or being safe. So this could actually be like having really good shelter and security. Yeah. And I feel like that in itself is like, oh, now I have a place to, I kind of get like the image or something to the effect of like, I have a place to lay my flowers or put my flowers in a garden or in a pot or something like that. And it's like, maybe you didn't have a place to yourself where you could have a plant or flowers or something, or maybe you live with people who didn't want you to have your own stuff or have it impede their space or take up space or something like that, or they thought it was like a waste of this or that. And I just don't want to get into it. I feel like it's icky. We've pushed it out. We're not here for that. We're here for who loves you. And so maybe those people could kind of be like raising an eyebrow, like, where is group 3 been? And maybe some of them are starting to realize that they miss you or more than they thought they would, or that they love you, or maybe it sort of plays on their mind, but that's okay, because I think you would already know that, and we don't really need to go into that. We're here for, I feel like with this group, like a new energy, okay? So yes, you are showing up for yourself. If you had been doing a lot of work and wondering at what point do I start, when do I know if I have loved myself enough, what does self-love actually look like, and you've been working, maybe your head has been down and your bum has been up, and you have finally hit a point where it's like spirit is coming through to give you confirmation, yes, this is self-love, yes, you love yourself, if you are wondering what that looks like, okay? So it's like, because maybe we didn't naturally have that, or didn't grow up with it, or didn't see healthy role models of it. It doesn't matter what it looks like, where it come from, but it's like, tick, yes, you've got it, green flag. I just kind of get like X marks the spot, you found the treasure. Anyway, okay, so what else do we have here for group 3? Oh yeah, new beginnings for sure. But also like maybe a sense of freedom or adventure. And maybe it could have been tied up in a tumultuous way that you got there, but also maybe like as a restoring of the balance, right? There's a lot of freedom in this reading. There's also a lot of, maybe it's like independent freedom as well, I would say, right? Between the Queen of Pentacles, the Fool, and then the Star. That's a lot of independence, okay? And I think that there could be something kind of karmic to it, where, I'm not saying, I don't know how to explain it, like, it would almost be karmic for people from your past to see you doing good on your own, for you to start living life again, start breathing life back into yourself, start having fun or doing things you like to do, or having an adventure, even if it's small. It doesn't matter what it looks like, right? It's not about them. It's like, I want to wear these Larry pants today. I'm wearing the Larry pants today. Okay. And like, it's because you love yourself so much more than you do care about what they think or say. Like, no one cares that you said those pants weren't cool. No one cares that you tried to say you were the only person who could wear those pants. And you can see how kind of petulant, immature, childish it kind of gets when it starts breeding into that. Like, 5-year-olds are talking about like, you can't do this because you're copying me sort of stuff, right? And so that, there could be people who tried to kind of embed themselves as like an inner critic for you at some point. And it's like, I see you being broken free. I see you challenging it. I see you filling yourself up on having fun. If you came through in the good things reading and you didn't get a lot of good things come through because there was like a higher message to that, if you didn't catch it, depending on what group you're in, then maybe this is like some of that coming through for you. And there just needed to be one really minute, slight vibrational resonance shift or something like that for this to happen. It doesn't matter. I feel like you've already been on this path for quite a while. But going back to it, so it's like who it is that loves you. I do feel like we have a person coming through here. I do feel like they could be a person who's, I would say you being good in your boundaries and being kind of upright in your character, or like being almost like a protective, safe person, but like restoring yourself here. It shows a type of resilience that maybe like not a lot, they haven't, what I would say is they haven't seen a lot of people kind of go through what you have and kind of come back from it, okay? But maybe they've full stop not really seen people go through what you have, okay? And I don't know if they necessarily have been there the whole time through it or the whole way through it. But what I would say is that maybe they kind of come in a weird angle of service. So like, let's say you go through a separation. You have to deal with like solicitors or lawyers. You might have to deal with accountants, depending how big the separation is. You might have to deal with, I don't know, like community services. What else is there? Like sometimes I guess like authorities, like, I don't know, I guess you often get like child psychologists involved if there's like children in the mix, depending on if there's parenting and things that might come up with that. But there's also like people who are like policy writers, and then there's, I don't know who and every other man and their dog that get in on that sort of stuff. But I don't mean it in a bad, vicious way or anything. I just mean like even though it can kind of come off like that or can be like that at times, I feel like it's more about all the different services that have to come together to kind of undo or do the whole process, right? So it doesn't have to be that stuff. Accountants could come through strongly, but it also could be a person who works with the law in some way. So even if they're not like down the legal route in terms of solicitors and lawyers, they could be like a person who upholds the peace and protection in the community. So i.e. like a police officer or something like that. Like an injustice kind of management, or they could be a person who's just has a strong sense of justice themselves. And so I think they see you being free, having an internal like an internal sense of morality that maybe they don't 100% understand it, because it might look like you're writing the rules or the book yourself. But I think that in times where it's mattered, they've seen you kind of navigate it in a way that is like very legitimate, but also maybe very honest or something. Like you were not out to get others. You actually you said what you needed to say. You did what you needed to do. You upheld your end of whatever that was. It doesn't have to be the case. Justice could also be like contracts, right? So like lots of, I don't know. I kind of get like an overlay or an overlap between like what 7th and 8th house stuff. So like relationships and contracts kind of situations. Anyway, regardless of that, this person, so they could be a person who does that. We do also have like the King of Swords, right? So they could be an authority figure in some way, even if they are none of the other things. I feel like they're a person that people would go to for maybe if they want help weighing in on decisions or something. But I feel like this person is a person who gets a lot of respect. I don't know if they command respect through a way they carry themselves, or if they naturally... You can't go, this person's really busy and dealing with kind of bigger issues. So it's like for you to go to them, you're on their time. And it's like, I don't think, maybe they could come off scary. I don't really feel like they do. I feel like they're actually probably quite respectful and kind. But also they can be firm where they need to be, and they hold a boundary, and they're not like, they're just going to, I don't know. I feel like they give it the due time that they need to. And at some point they'll just lay down a boundary, and that's kind of where it ends. Okay. And it's like, not in a bad way. Anyway, and so there could be something here where I do feel like there could be a kin or a likeness to having a mirrored or a shared fondness for like a childlikeness in a wonderful way, where maybe this person's an adult, but maybe they still play with Lego, or maybe they have like, I don't know, if they were a parent, then maybe they would like playing with their kids or something, or maybe they just have like little childlike things that fill them up, or a really happy, positive kind of, I don't know, it's like a way for them to, it's like they're good at not taking on the stress, and they're really good at finding the joy in the small moments. And it's okay if like there are moments where it's like you really see their inner child shine through, and it doesn't feel childish. It feels like they're embracing every part of themselves and no part of them is wrong. But it's really healthy and it's really nice. And so I think, because I don't know, maybe you guys can kind of have like a shared humor, or I don't know, maybe you have like little things you would like go and tinker with, like hobbies or something, or interest or something like that. There could be like a shared overlapping or something. I don't know. But also we have like the number 38 here, so there could be like a coming together around 38 or something like that. So I feel like I've gotten really, really off track here. because for some of you, there could be an overlay with one of the other groups. But I mean, take it if it resonates. It could just be like building upon a certain person that actually come through in one of the other groups, but that's not going to be for everyone. Anyway, and so I feel like this person is yet to make you an offer, or there would be like an offer for like a deeper, because we had you come through as your first person. Whichever way, whichever timeline this sort of works out on, it's like this person gives you an offer, but I don't just see it as an idea. I see it as they actually take action. I feel like they would be accountable. You could have fun with them. They would also be a person who would be, they kind of give you space to be you in all your quirks and stuff. I don't feel like they would ever put you down for anything that you do that would be different. And we have the moon here. So there could be a lot of internal feelings that I think that they would be aware of, that they just give you that space to have that, or like they're not putting you down for having feelings or anything, right? But also it could be representative of this person having a lot internal, that I think there's something here where they may wish things are different. So it depends on the person, because they could feel like it's unrequited. So you would know, again, yeah. I don't know, you guys could be married as well, because like with the Justice card here, that is contracts. And I was talking about 7th house and 8th house, right? That's like a one-to-one relationship where there's a contract involved. So it definitely could be a person that you're actually married to. And maybe you guys come together as two really healthy, whole people. Yeah. I know, I feel like this is really good, even though I feel like it's not the most grounded reading that I've done. But, I don't know, different things for different people in this group. I hope that it does make sense for you. I don't feel like there's anything I can really extend on here that's going to, is there any clarification last minute we could kind of get? I don't know, I might just try taking like one more card. So like, we talked about you coming through as a person who loves yourself. This person, when they say stuff to you, it might mean a lot, or it could weigh a lot. Like it could be, maybe if other people say things to you, it doesn't really affect you. But if this person says something to you, then you might put them on such a pedestal, or give them such a level of respect, or what they say means so much to you that you actually care what they think, and you might like take it on, or it might have the ability to affect your emotions deeply. But I feel like they try to give stability or harmony or peace. But I think they're very sure of themselves. Okay, so we do have Libra. We do have Aquarius. We do have Cancer. So double confirmation on the moon with Cancer. I think... I just got like a weird one. It's not going to be for everyone, but it's like there could be a representation here of walking between two worlds. So whether that's like a work world and a leisure world, whether that's like, I don't know what that could be. It could be anything, okay? Walking between two worlds. It could be like a spirit earthy thing. I don't know what that is. But it also could be a path between two choices. So there could be like a bit of internal agony. I feel like you would already know that if that's something there. This person could kind of at times have a tendency to have like a deep brooding aesthetic, but I feel like a lot of the times they hide it very well. Yeah. I don't feel like there's actually anything else that I have here other than, so what I would say, so who loves you, but I feel like they also find you deeply, 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 strongly attractive. I feel like there's actually like a very equal level of attraction here as well. So if you were wondering if they were like out of your league or something, I don't think that's the case. I think they find you like really deeply attractive, desirable, alluring, kind of almost a bit seductive, I don't know, seductress-y. Tempting, alluring, yeah, lots of good stuff. I do want to say for some of you, you could be a parent already, but again, take what resonates. So anyway, thanks for joining me, guys, and pack this up. I hope it was good. I hope it was helpful. I hope it resonated, and I will see you in another one. Take care. Welcome in group 4. You're the last group for today. If you chose the awakened, then this is going to be your group reading today on who it is that loves you. First thing I wanted to say, I do feel like we have a person who could be, I don't know, a bit of a match in some ways. I do feel like for some of you, you'll end up hearing about yourself as opposed to a person. But if that's the case, we will try to take more cards because I see a person who has had to work really hard at letting go. They could have felt strong attachment to the outcome. You could just have a really strong mirrored energy, okay? So like you may be like, oh my God, this sounds like me. And I actually don't think it is the case. For once, I don't think it is you being on the other end. I actually think that this would be like a shared likeness that you have with this other person, okay? And we've got like the Two of Pentacles here as well. So it could be like, I don't know how to explain it. We'll keep going. All right. So a person who has had to work a really long time or really hard at, or just continuously, like maybe they bob it and then it pops back up on like a rigidity. Maybe they're trying to let go of control, release control. They're trying to, I don't know, they could have a lot of anxiety or worry or fear or something like that. And it's something that they do have to remind themselves of. They have to take a moment, take a breath, take a beat, get outside in the sunshine, like letting go a little bit, relaxing a little bit, and then they can kind of blow off steam in that moment, and then it helps them kind of release that rigidity. And then every now and then, again, it might be in them, like they panic a little bit again. But we also have, I don't know, is your person like a spiritual person or something like that? So we're not saying your person. So, I mean, some of you could actually be in relationship with this person if we're saying your person. But what I was meaning is who loves you. I don't know. They could just be like a good person. They could just be like, we have benevolent is really standing out to me on this card, and we're having like faith and caring and dutiful. But like it is Pisces. And to me, sometimes Pisces sort of comes through as like kind of flaky, like kind of evasive or not really wanting to hold a position. But I'm not really getting that at all for this person. This is like a very developed, transcended person. And Pisces doesn't actually have to be relevant for this. I just feel like this person, maybe they just are elevated and they would be like emotionally nourishing. This person could also have a tendency to kind of get lost in like spirituality, or if there's a belief system that they're looking into, playing into, or practicing or something like that. This could be like a person who goes away and like studies or partakes in like a spirituality or something, and then they kind of come back. And so maybe there is definitely an elusive quality about this person, and maybe this is part of how they are kind of working through all this stuff. And it's like looking at their choices and weighing things up. What's a good choice? What's a bad choice? And it's like with the awakened dead, we have the things that almost broke me were the things that most awoke me. Resilience, nirvana, self-appreciation. I don't know. Lots of different things for different people in this group. I don't know if I could say exact. Okay, yeah, like you could be feeling stuck or at a crossroads, not knowing what way to go, or indecision or something like that here. And there is like relying on intuition. So you may be thinking things, feeling things, and logically they're not making sense to you, but I feel like you're being directed to lean into that intuition and sort of see what comes of it. Now, what I would also say is that, so going back to this person, we have the High Priestess. That's the second point of confirmation here in Pisces. I would also say that Cancer could be coming up, even Scorpio. I do want to take more cards. And we have the Five of Pentacles. So definitely a theme of being, I don't know, theme of being on your own, ill health, in between places, or hardship in some way, or things kind of falling apart. And we have the Hangman. So that's like the third point of confirmation for Pisces. So lots of Pisces energy here. This person could be like very elevated, very like transcended, but in a real world way. I would say that they are anchored. And the Fool, there's a new beginning. Someone's like watching a new beginning play out. I'm getting like chills, and this energy makes me want to cry. And I don't know why. It keeps coming through. Do you know what it feels like? It feels like heartbreak. So this person could be watching you have a new beginning, and they may feel like you are out of reach or blocked off from them, and that you or them are isolated from each other in some way. So, I mean, I don't know, for some of you, it could be like an ex coming through, right? But it doesn't feel like that. This feels like a pining that hurts the heart because it's like genuine love. And it feels like a wishing for things to come together or to be different, or to persevering, hoping that things will come to fruition, but also then it might kind of cause like a bit of an internal like a ruckus or a panic or something. Maybe they're like working to release their own rigidity because they know that if they were going to kind of enter into a relationship in some way, or if they are in relationship with you, they know that it might affect you, like, or another person. Like, I feel like, and they don't mean it to be that way, and I think they want to be soft, and then part of this rigidity might come from this sort of softness, or this you know, Pisces can sort of be like the loss of the self or the sense of self. I even get like a Mars and Pisces energy come through, and that's not for everyone, just take it if it resonates. But it's like you could this person could struggle with a sense of self, and so like being rigid has maybe like served them in some way. Okay, I think this person would be like very deep. I think they would be a little bit like whimsical. They could have like very strong, this person could give you like an off with the fairies, but it's not really fairies, it's like often their dreams, like a daydreamy, it's a very dreamy energy. Okay, so maybe something about this person to you feels like a dream. Like, it might not feel real, it might feel like it's not grounded, it might feel like it's a bit floaty or airy fairy. Maybe there's something where it's escapism as well. So you could look at this person, you could just get lost in all their beauty and the awe and the wonder and the way that they see the world and their experiences and everything. And it's like a nice place to escape to the idea of them. And then I think when you look at it, you may not know whether to move towards it or not, because it's like, you know, but what do they do with that, and where do they end up? And I've been watching them for a while, and they're kind of at this new beginning stage, and I just don't see them progressing. So there could be a little bit of like a judgment in one way or in another. But also I feel like this person could have their hands tied in wanting to move towards you for a new beginning. So there's definitely that. You could just be, it doesn't matter. Okay. It doesn't matter whether you're single or with this person or what. I feel like the same reading's going to apply, and you'll understand that. Yeah. Eight of Swords. I think this person would be in their head about you, right? Like they want to move towards you. I feel like they think that their hands are tied. They feel like they're a novice. They feel like they're maybe not quite your match, even though they're probably really elevated in certain ways that maybe might even surpass you. I'm not saying that like in every way. I feel like you guys are a match, right? But maybe there's just certain areas they're developed in, and then certain areas you're developed in, which is like, I guess, a normal thing. There could be like, I talked about a dreaminess, like a strong dreamy quality, but also maybe like strong kind of spiritual qualities here as well. And if it's not that, they could just be like, I don't know, I can't, with the High Priestess, the Hangman, Ravati coming out the way that it does, very strong like intuition, and it just feels like, I don't know, this person could feel lost about what to do with this connection, how to interact with it, whether they can move towards it, whether they're just better off staying on their own. Maybe they question whether they can release their own rigidity, or there could be like an anxious attachment or avoidant. You know what it could be like? I think you can get, I was looking it up the other day, I think there is such a thing as being anxious and avoidant at the same time. So this person could really have a lot of like relationship sort of struggles. Whether they've always been this way or not, it's not necessarily like the point. But there also could be something about they would want this connection so bad that I think that they know that they would need to find a way to ground that, move through it, or process it, or transcend it. Like they know that they need to move past it. And they may question whether it would be healthy for them to, like how do if I almost feel like my heart hurting, do I move towards it? Do I not move towards it? Do I just be honest and fess up everything, and then put the choice out there, and then both people can communicate honestly, and even if it's not received, I do feel like there's a lot of receptive energy here. I feel like your person's very receptive. So what I would say is that if you were wondering about them, if you're connecting with who this is and and they're a person that you'd want to move towards and you'd consider them like your option, your person that you would want to be with, then I would say that you could definitely approach them if you can find like a safe, healthy way that doesn't cross any boundaries or rules, then without coming on too strong, because I feel like they could have a touch of the being skittish, like especially with that whole weird anxious attack. Like it's when I say weird, I feel like I say weird a lot in my readings, and it's just how I speak. I don't mean that it's literally weird. It's very like normal human things, and but what I would say is that it is different. And so if this person has this like anxious sort of avoidance style difference here to you, then you may have to actually make the first move. And I think if you can do it in a way that shows like morals or integrity or something like that, then that would go 10 times further in the long run than like an immediate short reaching out that might fall flat on its face because something about it's not quite right. So I do think this person is very scared, but I also think that I don't know, I think maybe they go back and forth. I think there's something about this person they may not feel like themselves at this time, okay? So maybe with a bit more, it's making me think of a thing where it was like, people talk about like being healthy before you, like on your own, before you can enter in, being healed, like healing yourself before you can enter into a relationship, okay? And I think in some ways it's really true, and I think in some ways it's kind of not, because it's like we shouldn't be looking for another person to just kind of fill a void within us when we haven't done the work. But there's also, I think, a lot of moments like both things can be true at the same time for very different situations depending on the context and all of that. But I think often a lot of people give a lot more credit and power to having the ability to control your experience, and that's not always necessarily a choice, especially if people if something's not conscious and they're not aware of it, then how much can they really do if they don't have that ability to make the choice in the first place, right? There's something like that. I feel like I'm getting off track with this, and it's very important that we don't. So I just want to take a moment to like sit with this. I feel like this is really important. It's really like powerful and really potent. I think that this person loves you in a way that they've probably not really loved anybody else, and I like almost feel sad talking about it. Because I think there's like a lot of hope, and in some ways they equally feel hopeless. And I think that they realize that, because we talked about the consciousness, right? And like Pisces is aligned with the 12th house, which is like a house of subconscious, unconscious, and things that we can't see, and things that we don't really always even see about ourselves. And maybe there's something here where this person realizes that not everyone that they've been with, even though they thought that they loved them, is necessarily what actually was love. Maybe it was a comfortable attachment and it feels like love to them. Like, I think they realize that there is a difference between attachment and love that they didn't recognize in the past. There was like maybe confusion or enmeshment, and Pisces can kind of have that enmeshment, right? A lot of like porous kind of mixing together, that sort of stuff. All right, so I think this person sees you as a high ideal, like everything, like very transcendent, what like the highest form of what a love offer or choice or interest could be. This stuff that only exists in dreams, okay? And so then they wonder, is this real? Is this just a dream? Is this grounded? You know, and that receptiveness, they're very receptive, so they would need you to make the move, but in the way that when they go through that like back and forth between avoidant and anxiousness, that they need to know that it's real and solid, because they know at some point they would probably question it, okay? So you'd have to be very sure if that's something that you would want to commit to, because I don't know if it would be like, you know, it's not just going to be a breeze in the park. I think over time it would get a lot easier. I feel like that first like 1 to 2 years is going to be a little bit like, whoa, I don't know if this is what I thought I was cut out for. But I think after that, and you get over the mark and this person starts to calm down a bit and sort of, it's like going back to that, what I was trying to say about the real, about like a lot of healing will end up sort of coming through relationships that are safe, that are like the relationship itself teaches us kind of what's good, and it shows us what's good, and it gives us the love and support that we maybe didn't have in other relationships. And so then it ends up being the space where we can learn like love in a healthy relationship and recognize the differences between attachments and like all that sort of stuff. So I think maybe this person is putting too much pressure on themselves. Like there's that rigidity and the panic kind of stuff. Maybe they're putting too much pressure on themselves to kind of be perfect or to be ready enough for something like this, and that they don't want to come to you not ready in case they don't meet the bar, or they, you know, are going to fall flat on their face or something like that. Because if it comes down to it, they know that you are the favorite, the thing that they want the most, and they want to be an equal match. So I think this is kind of a person who, like, they are an equal match. Then maybe they don't entirely see themselves as an equal match. They know that they've got their issues. Everyone has their issues. And I think that they're just, I don't know if they're being too hard on themselves. It gives me like a Virgo Pisces kind of axis, right? So like perfectionist and a little bit of like a, yeah, it's like perfectionist, but then the Pisces thing is like almost like is it really possible? Like, is it just an escapist kind of daydream or dream that I have that's maybe not reality, and they're questioning that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, straight up, I think if this is like, you know, a genuine match and it's not unrequited, and you want this to be something, I mean, for some of you, this could be confirmation of a person that you're already with and they feel this kind of internally at times. But if you are not together and you want to be together, any sort of little reassurance that you could give them, even if you don't make the first move, just to let them know, might be a step in the right direction if you want to move that. So yeah, anyway, that's really everything that I have for you today, group 4. I hope that this is like helpful and it resonated for you. If it resonated, definitely like the video, and I'll see you in another one. Take care. Good luck.